Hey, welcome to the Healthy Brain Podcast. Hope you are doing well. It is a hot one here in Michigan. I'm sure you're having a nice summer with nice weather. We have really hot weather in the 90s. So I have my fan going on. I have this portable fan here. Hopefully, it's not picking up on the audio, but I need the fan to keep cool. I'm just finishing up my day, working with some clients and some patients, and one of the topics that we have been talking about in my coaching program, it's the legacy life. The last 2 months, we're in week 6 for the Build a Stronger Brain program. And this week we're talking about challenging our brain. And on a couple of days ago, or no, it was yesterday, we have a group coaching session where I go on live and I give a little teaching and answer questions, and we support each other, give some suggestions, and talk through any obstacles. So this topic for this week and for the group coaching, because the week is about challenging our brain, so making our brain work outside the box instead of just our regular day-to-day activities. We want to challenge our brain, use different parts of our brain. And what I did is I talked to the group clients in the group coaching about creating a personal curriculum. So I don't know if you've heard of this. If you're on YouTube, there are quite a few videos that people will have about creating your personal curriculum or your summer curriculum, or it's actually, as it sounds, it's based on a curriculum that you would find in your school, like when you were in high school, when you were in college. But don't worry, we're not going to make it that. What I'm suggesting is not, you won't be having any finals. This is a way, it creates a structure and an approach that we can use to challenge our brain to really create some creativity and new learning experiences. So I'm really interested in this, and I've actually come up with a couple of courses that I have created for myself. So it's, when I say I've created a course, it doesn't mean that I have a full syllabus and I'm having all these different topics. It's more, and I'll explain how I'm putting it together. It just means I've taken a topic and I am looking at different resources to learn more about the topic. And using personal curriculum creates a little more focus, a little more intention in this, in learning. And especially as we're adults, we don't really allow ourselves to just have fun and learn, because maybe if you have not enjoyed school, that this idea of learning and a curriculum may seem humdrum to you. But we can really make it fun, because you can have a curriculum, a course, a topic on baking. I've just been trying different sourdough recipes, and especially in the summertime, my sourdough is turning out different than it does in the winter, and it's because of the heat in the house and just everything. So your course could be about learning how to bake sourdough. It could be a language, learning a language. It could be brushing up or learning music, how to play music, how to play an instrument, or maybe music composition. So it could really be science. It could be chemistry based, biology, nature. It could be history. It could be geography. It could be scrapbooking. How about interior design or decorating? Some other ideas are, let's see, I'm just looking on my list as I wrote it down. Decluttering your space. So not just in looking at decorating interiors, but decluttering your space and creating really cool areas in your house that are beautifully decorated. It could be philosophy, film and photography, maybe skincare science, classical literature. So you see, there's just anything. So, what the first step, what I want to do in this podcast is to go through how I approached coming up with my personal curriculum for the summer. And we're talking for July, August, and it probably will modify when I get into the fall time. And just this process of me sitting down and taking time to really think about, what do I want to learn? Now, this is separate from my goals that I have for my fitness, for my health, for my business, for my home and finances and relationship, any of that. That's separate. Those are like, I'm setting the goals, I'm doing tasks every day towards those goals. This personal curriculum, approach it like fun, of interest, curiosity. You want to feel excited. You want to do it. You want to do it. And it's at the end of the day when you have time, or you're making time in the middle of the day or on the weekend, to really explore this course that you've determined. Okay, so let's go through the steps. The first is brainstorm a few ideas of what you think would be interesting for you for a course. So I gave you a ton of examples. You can also search it up on the internet. You could just type in ideas for personal curriculum, and it usually will give you some ideas. You can, of course, all of the AI will give you ideas. But first off, just let your brain, it's almost like a brain dump. So you're just going to list out things. Don't worry about how will I do this, but just start writing it out. So when I did this, when I started writing it out, I had um, some ideas. So musical instrument, but like because I used to play the piano and a couple of other instruments. So I was thinking, okay, let's do it. And I actually have started to play the piano again. Language, learning a language or relearning a language, because I was fairly fluent in French and a bit in Portuguese. So maybe brushing those up. Baking, continuing to refine the sourdough or other kind of baking recipes. Some kind of science, I put that in question mark. And I really, to me, I thought, well, I'll put that to the side. That could be maybe a fall and winter. Scrapbooking, decorating, like interior design. What was another one? Bible study, which I do have a Bible study that I usually am implementing and starting to. I've restarted one for the summer. Greek mythology. So the reason I put this down is this week, in a few days, this is in mid-July, the new movie Odyssey is coming out. And I thought, well, that may be a really cool way to watch the movie, learn a bit more about Greek mythology, which I think I read the book back when I was in high school. I know my kids did when they were in high school. They read it because we have a copy at the house. But that's what I mean, is that you can look at the current views, current events happening. Wimbledon just happened. So maybe that would be a deep dive into the culture of tennis, or maybe the English culture. That could be a course. with the World Cup going on, maybe a country has sparked your interest, so you want to learn more about the country and their traditions. So you can take the current events and things happening in the current month and decide that that's the course that you want to do. That then, when you're watching a movie, because I love to watch movies, you can say, hey, it's for my personal curriculum and and I get to watch the movie. Now, that's not all that it is on this personal curriculum, because after you brainstorm your list and you pick one to start off with, if this is the first time you're really thinking of doing this personal curriculum, keep it easy. Just pick one course. So let's say I picked Greek mythology. I like to do um, and usually on my whiteboard, I'll do a mind map where in the middle I'll put the title Greek mythology or the topic, and then there'll be an arrow or a line with another bubble, and I'll write in the bubble all around this center bubble ideas and resources for how I'm going to create my curriculum. So I know already the Odyssey movie, but I'm also going to look at the Odyssey book. I'm going to look at the author Homer and his life and revisit that and look at the Greek mythology, the what was going on at that time and how the different um, myths and the Greek gods that were so important to that timeline and that society there. Maybe the geography. There's also Iliad is his other poem that he wrote. So I would look into that. And I think I might have read it, but I would just, whether or not I'll do like a deep dive, probably not, because I'm not in school, but just reading it or reading a summary or reading a portion of it. There's also another movie, the Troy movie with Brad Pitt. So I have never watched that movie. That would probably go with the whole, because it's a Trojan. When I looked at it, it was about the Trojan War, and it intercedes and overlaps with the Odyssey. So you see how it will lead to some other things, but I'm going to have fun with it and just using this mind map. I'll come up with some ideas and resources. So you want to look at the resources. What are the books? What are a video? Maybe what's a podcast? What's a lecture or an essay or something about the author? Those can go into your curriculum. The other thing too that you can do is when you pick the course and you have some ideas there to help you think of the ideas, you can ask yourself, well, what is the main goal of the course? So for me, my main goal of the course for this Greek mythology, it's not so I can become an expert in Greek mythology. For me, it's to understand that culture, society back then, the importance that in the history, the geography, because it could be that I'll go there at some point. I don't have any plan on going to Greece, but it wasn't just Greece, but it was such a large area. And the transition over to Christianity that happened. So I'm interested in just learning about the culture, the mythology around the Greek mythology. The questions. So, another thing you can do is what are the questions that you would want to have answered when you're and addressed in learning? So, my question could be, well, what really are all of there were so many of these gods, the Greek gods that were so important in the mythology. What were they? And also, why did someone write this Greek mythology book, and why did he write it, and what are some takeaways from it, and what impact did it have on the culture? So there's some ideas, questions, and when I ask a question, it may lead to a resource. So it may be that I'll find a podcast where someone will talk about and I did this briefly. What popped up was the translation from Greek to English. And that was sort of of course, we know things are lost in translation, but how important it was to have the right translation from Greek to English. So the questions that you ask can help you in coming up with the resources for this personal curriculum. And from there, you could really get detailed, which I personally will not, where some people have put a unit. So unit 1 would be the Odyssey movie. Unit 2 would be the Odyssey book. Unit 3 would be Homer's life, and then so on and so forth. So you could do that as a possibility. Now, I just want to share the other flip side. So let's say it's about decorating. You want to pick a course on decorating because you're interested in creating special areas in your home. So that could look like, in my mind map, it could look like certain books, like looking for certain books about specific spaces. I would go to the library, search it up, or maybe the bookstore. I would look at magazines that would have some cool design ideas. I may look at a show. There's home design shows. There's so many that are out there, but maybe there's one that will fit my interest and look at that. Maybe I would watch an episode every week or every couple of days. There's also resources online where you can join for a low price, more than likely, a group that would help you and give you encouragement for decorating. So just some ideas. Some ideas are there. Then when you look at that and you have your ideas, your resources, you can then say, well, in this unit, and it could be week 1, I do that, week 2, I do that, but you can really make it very flexible. And the last thing that is suggested, and this is after I've watched a couple of different videos, is to have something that you can use to mark down notes, takeaways from your curriculum. If you want to keep it very surface level, it could be 1 or 2 pages where you're just jotting down, oh, this was really interesting. Or you can really do more of, in a notebook, you have quite a few pages where you're really writing down your takeaways. The approach should make it very, again, you want to learn it. It should be of interest. When it gets a little bit drudgery and work, that's when you got to dial it back. But what will happen is you may find it will expand the horizons, and knowing more about a particular topic may be interesting in conversation with people. It may lead you to knowing more, and you may then want to travel to a certain area if it's about geography. You know, recently there was the Project Hail Mary movie that was out, and about outer space science. It's a sci-fi movie, and some people took that as space exploration. That was their course. And at the same time, there was the Challenger. I think it was the Challenger was launched. So some people could really do a deep dive into space exploration. And they used a current event with the movie that had just come out, with other books that are there, just to have this interest that maybe they've had all their lives, but it's been on the back burner, and now they can just explore it a little. Why this is important for the brain is because we're using different parts of the brain. When I'm looking into decorating, I am using a lot of my right hemisphere, artistic creativity. not just logical left brain. If I'm looking into Greek mythology, I'm looking that to me is very in a way creative, but I'm really outside my comfort zone. I'm very sciencey based. So for me, Greek mythology is such a woo-woo kind of thing that, but people were so very, very dedicated in that whole culture. That's what they believed in. So for me, it's using a different part of my brain. That's the whole idea with these courses and this personal curriculum. You come up with some really cool ideas and you're using different parts of the brain because we use it or we lose it. With challenging our brain, also, we're sort of, we're creating this personal curriculum. It's a new way to approach learning instead of like humdrum, you're really doing something that's interesting. The brain likes novelty. So you can change it up every month. You don't have to have the same topic for 5 or 6 months. You may, like for my Bible study, I do have. It's ongoing, but I change it every few months. There's a different Bible study. So it keeps the brain likes novelty, and that's why this personal curriculum can really be a way to create some excitement. So start with something fun. Maybe it's not going to be that traditional like classical literature or something where I'm doing Greek mythology. It could be something like super fun that you're going to be creating a course for yourself. Maybe you want to learn how to surf, that can be your course. Or fish. Maybe you want to learn how to fish. So you can really do anything. Just let your brain think and dream and be creative, because that is the way that we can keep our brain healthy, is if we keep this learning and this creativity going. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.